We can now link up to Manuel Cransing, our roving man today. Manuel? Is what you're,
yes,
is what you're wearing...
The gods of UPSA didn't want us to come to you, but hey, we're here now.
Yeah, is what you're wearing appropriate for the campus?
Well, I have been looking through their handbook, and if I were a student of UPSA, perhaps I would have gotten, an order from the security to get off campus and dress properly. But thank God I'm not a student of the school. But I have folks who are students of the school, and they have, certain content about that directive. It's quite, pertinent to note that indeed this directive is actually not a new directive. It's embedded in the handbook of the university, which is giving out to every student who is, offered admission to the university. Well, most of them do not read it, but ignorance of the law, as they say, is not an excuse. And that is seeming to be what is biting them now. And so we're just trying to speak to a few of the students to pick their impressions about that directive, whether or not it's even a cake, as it were, given the fact that in 21st century, millennials are trying to dress to the trend. Is this something that they want to stick to? Let me speak to you. Grateful that you could speak to us this morning. What course are you reading here?
PR, Public Relations.
Public Relations, great. You've seen that directive. You're not supposed to be wearing certain types of, dresses. When you look at the handbook and the directives therein, how does it make you feel as a student of the university?
Oh, as for me, I'm very happy about the directive they brought about, because already before coming to the school, we have an idea of not putting on any type of dresses, especially dresses which do not have, let me say, shirt hands. So it's not good to be putting on sleeveless. So as for me, I think it's the best directive brought on board, because it shouldn't affect the students in any way, because they have a perspective about the school they chose before they came in. So it shouldn't be, it's because the students don't take the directive that they already had before coming to the school into consideration. That's why they pinpointed it again to give...
I'll come to ask if it is fair that, for instance, I've paid school fees and I'm coming to learn. And it's not that I came to the class without my books, pens, and so on to learn. But because I'm not dressed in a certain way, even though I've paid the fees, you sack me. I want to pick your thoughts on that. But let me speak to you also briefly. What's your own impression? She says that, well, it's good. I mean, giving the motive and, if you like, the principle of the school, it's a professional school, training you for the market. You think that's the way to go?
For me, in a way, it's fair, in a way, it's not fair. Or it's fair in a sense that as the school is already called the professional school, so as they are training you for the professional world, they're supposed to dress professionally. But then some dresses are also very revealing. Some are okay, like the off-shoulder like this, some are okay. But some too, they reveal too much, which will cause, things to happen.
And that's the question I'm going to ask. Which will cause what things to happen? What will happen?
Maybe like sexual harassment from lecturers and stuff, excuse me. Yeah, and then from fellow students too. Yes.
So for instance, what's your name though? Princess. So just because one Kujo or one Kwame somewhere cannot, discipline himself, Princess should not be allowed to dress the way she wants to dress into the classroom?
Well, yes.
That's what you think. Well, let me speak to you also. You've seen, in fact, there are portions that speak about religious dressing and makes room for the hijab and so on and so forth. When you look at all those things, they seem to be empowering for you, no?
Yes. Yes, they are empowering, because we came to learn. So with the learning, the dressing has to be part of the learning. So you have to dress very decent to look presentable for the market and everything. So.
But how useful would that be to anybody? Because not everybody who comes to the university essentially wants to work in a bank or wants to be an accountant and so on and so forth. Must you tie me down to the plans, the general plans that you have for all the students, even if I don't want to be a part of it?
No, No, but from the first thing, like when your dressing talks about everything. Your dressing is the first impression everyone sees you that would see. So when you're dressing, you have to dress decent so that when the person sees you, even though you're not going to any banking and anything aspect, but when you're dressing, the person will be like, oh, the person is a good person. And so.
Great. So the reason you are seeing most of them in this is that today is a Friday, and even today being a Friday, I've seen some of the students who had early classes dressed in white and black, white long sleeves and black trousers, move to the various classrooms. But let me speak to this gentleman here. He's the only man in the conversation. Well, it's all gone down, and for the ladies, they don't seem to have so much of a problem with it. But for the boys, you want to wear your summer shirts, you want to wear your tattered jeans and so on. The university doesn't like that.
But before you were coming, maybe you had an idea that you're not supposed to wear anything like that. Okay. So I don't think there's a problem with it.
So where is your long sleeve and your tie?
But this also okay, like it's presentable. Right.
So this is also allowed.
And then I also heard maybe you're supposed to wear officials Mondays and then whenever we have presentations. Okay. That's what I know. So the other days you can dress
casually, but not necessarily revealing.
Yes.
But I mean, the critical question that I was going to ask her, which I did eventually, she said, well, yes, just because Kwame or Kojo cannot keep themselves disciplined, must we force the ladies not to wear the stuff that they want? For instance, a day like today that is really sunny, the atmosphere is really hot. I want to wear sleeveless and feel comfortable. The school says no, and the reason is that there may be a cause for sexual harassment.
Well, I don't think that's the reason why they asked us not to wear anything like that. Because when you look at University of Ghana, they wear anything they want, tattered and then sleeveless shirts to class. You don't hear any rape cases there or anything, so I don't think that's why they asked us to wear those kind of.
You don't think that it will affect them at all?
No.
Great. So and you made a point. You made a point earlier about it being fair because it's in the handbook, and so if you have accepted admission, then you should definitely abide by it. But the question is, I'm going to class. I've paid for the fees. Why should you sack me because of a certain dress?
As for me, I think it's the best directive ever. Okay. So, no matter whether you like it or you don't like it, you are coming to school and you are trained as a professional student. So, at least you have to dress casually or professionally. You don't just have to dress anyhow.
But is it fair to those who get sacked?
No, as in to the extent of getting sacked. Maybe they must be giving maybe penalties, such as paying fines, yes. Because even if you sack them, they may choose to even change. But even if they are allowed to pay penalties, maybe I think it will even help the school in many ways. Yes.
It will help the school in many ways. Well, round up thoughts from you, and then we'll hand over back to them in the studio. This should not be reviewed. You said it's fair and not fair. Do you think that it should be reviewed at least to some extent?
Yes, it should be.
How should it be reviewed?
With the dressing. Yes. Okay, then they should make it like Abi is already Mondays is official. So the other days you can wear anything casually, but not too revealing. Yes.
How revealing is revealing?
Like wearing a skimpy dress when you're walking, then it will be coming up, and then we have like very down off shoulders, like showing almost the breasts and then the other parts. Yes.
Okay. And how revealing is revealing? A simple question.
How revealing? It's very revealing when, at least when they sit and almost every part of their thighs is showing it. Most part of their body is showing. So it's very revealing, and it's sometimes luring the guys and sometimes in the lectures too, because someone will wear a very short dress and wants to sit in front and the lecturer too is teaching, so like the person isn't feeling comfortable.
It's distracting, eh? And so to avoid all the troubles, let everybody dress according to the code of the university. Well, that's these are the thoughts I'm sampling here at the university. I'm sure that so many of them who are in disagreement with these folks, but as you know, lectures are currently ongoing. A lot of them are held up there, and these were the ones that we were able to get. But essentially, the university says that no overly revealing dressing on campus, no sleeveless. Your dress, your skirt has to be around your knee level or below that. It doesn't have to be above that. And so I don't know, Mama V, and they don't allow for you to wear skimpy trousers. I don't know if your trouser is a skimpy one, but yes, that's what's happening here at the University of Professional Studies here in Accra. And so from here over to you back in the studio, Mama V.